In this video, I'll be working through the question you see on the screen here from the Maths paper 1-1 from the 2024 Cambridge A-Level exam. If you're looking for a different question from this paper, there should be a link to the playlist in the description below. And if you're looking for a different paper entirely, have a look around on my channel. I'll be doing all this on a whiteboard, hopefully just like you're used to in your classroom. But remember, we're not in the classroom, we're on YouTube. Take advantage of that. Pause, rewind, watch it at double speed. If you find this video or any of my videos useful, I would greatly appreciate a like, a subscribe, a share, or even a super thanks. In question 6, we're given a diagram that looks roughly like this, and we're told it's of a function that equals 2 divided by x squared plus 4, and they tell us that x is always less than 0. And again, it looks like this. For part A, we're simply asked to sketch the inverse of this, the inverse of fx on this graph. Now they do give us a hint. They tell us you can show any relevant mirror line. I actually don't use the mirror line, so I will show you in a moment what that means. How I think of the inverse is, originally x goes in, y comes out. The inverse is, what if the y went in and the x came out, given the same numbers? So what I mean there is, let's make up, there's no numbers on their picture, let's make some up. All the way down here, let's say minus 100. And we go up, and maybe it just gives out 2, let's say. So when minus 100 went in, 2 came out. The inverse of that would mean when 2 goes in, minus 100 comes out. And the same, 50 goes in, minus 50 goes in, it looks like 2 again. So just go straight up. What about up here? When minus 1 goes in, we get 100. 100 comes out. So when 100 goes in, we get minus 1 comes out. And we could go along this a few more times to see it more clearly, but it just looks like that. Now, looking at my sketch, I think I probably would lose a mark for that. So let me draw that one more time. There's clearly a bit of a gap here. It would look more like that. Maybe I'm losing marks again. One more go. Maybe something like that. It would be another answer. Anyway, I think getting just the general shape, isotoping down to infinity, off to infinity this way, a sharp turn, that's what they're looking for. Now, onto that mirror line they talked about. What I really did there is I turned x's into y's, y's into x's. Another way to write that would be y equals x. And y equals x looks like this. Just looks like there. And that's what's happened. We're actually mirroring through that. You could get your a couple of rulers out, a set square, and just measure out, or a compass. Just put a straight line down, compass through it. It's just a mirror image of this through that line, is another way to think of it. Okay, on to something more mathematical. On the part B, they ask us to write an expression for this. That should be a -1 up there. Write an expression for that. So how do I do it? Let's rewrite the first guy. Instead of this, we'll write y equals 2 over x squared plus 4. Y is just a replacement for whatever's in front. So the inverse is just switching the x's and the y's. You can do this first or last. Some people just move this so x is on its own and then change the x's and y's around. Or what I do is I change the x and y now. So x is equal 2 over y squared plus 4. This is now the inverse. This world here was the fx world. This world now, we're in the inverse world. And whichever world we're in, we like to write y out on its own. So just change this so y is on its own and you'll have the inverse. So let's rearrange this. We get x minus 4 is equal 2 over y squared. Let's change sides there. Y squared is equal 2 over x minus 4. And then finally, I'll put it here. Y is equal, I'll leave plus or minus for the moment, plus or minus 2 over x minus 4. That would be your answer, except you'll lose a mark. They don't want plus or minus. There's a definitive answer here. A couple of ways to look at this. Remember, this is now the inverse we're drawing. This y here, this is now the inverse of x. The inverse of x is always minus. This is the y-axis here. It's always minus. We don't want the plus. So you can do that just by the picture. It's always minus. Another way to think about that is x was always less than 0 in the normal world. In the inverse world, y will always be less than 0. Or in fact, x will always be greater than 0. So moving on to part C, we can squeeze all these in. They want you to solve the equation fx is equal to 4.5. Now, that means this is equal 4.5. But they're only given 1 mark for that. Not that it's that difficult if you were to write this equals 4.5. It's not that difficult to solve. But here's the trick. The reason you're only getting 1 mark for it, you've already done the inverse. So the answer to this is also the inverse of 4.5. The inverse function at 4.5. So we just simply put that in here, and that works out quite neatly. It works out as minus square root 2 over 4.5 minus 4. That's 0.5. 2 divided by a half becomes 4. Square root of 4 becomes minus 2. So your answer to that question is minus 2. You could have also solved it here. You would have got a plus or minus up here that you would have had to be careful with. But other than that, it would have worked fine. And then to finish off, part D. I don't think I'm going to write anything for this. So part D, they just ask you to explain why the equation, the inverse, let me write that down. The equation fx equals the inverse of fx has no solution. This often has a solution, for a lot of functions. In this case it doesn't. What's your reason? The reason I'd say is, well, now that we've drawn it here, they don't touch. And that's, I looked up the marking scheme, that's fine with them. They don't cross, they don't touch. The two diagrams, the two sketches don't touch. That's fine. Another reason they say, which I don't think it's that good of an answer, they say fx is always positive. Yeah, fx is always greater than 0, and the inverse x is always less than 0. So they can never equal. I guess that's a okay way to say it as well. Anyway, that's pretty much either of those things will get you full marks. It's only 1 mark as well. Okay, that is it for question 6. If you have any follow-up marks, if you have any questions to ask me, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.